Good day. In this video, I'm going to be setting up DHCP on Windows Server 2008. Now, as we begin this tutorial here, we're going to start by clicking on Server Manager, which is right here. Click on that. Then we're going to click on Roles, and then you can see here Add Roles. Right, we can press Next, and we're selecting DHCP Server. Great, let's press Next. Alright, here we have a introduction to the DHCP screen, which basically tells you what DHCP does. You can read that if you want. I'm going to click Next, and here we have our select network connection bindings. This is where the DHCP IP address binds to our network adapter. As you can see here, we have one network adapter in our machine, so this is the address that I have assigned to it. And click Next. Alright, specify IPv4 DNS server settings. See, we have our parent domain here, and we have our preferred DNS server IP4 address, which we can validate, and you see here it's valid. I don't have any alternate DNS server IP4 address, so I'm going to click Next. Win server settings for IPv4. We're not going to be using Win server in this video, so I'm just going to click Next. Right, so here we can add a scope for our DHCP. So we can click Add, and we can type in our scope name, say scope 1. We could here say where we want to start our IP addresses. So I would say 192.168.0.2, and ending would be 192.168.0.254. Say put in our subnet mask 255.255.255.0, and we have an optional default gateway. Alright, so make sure this activate this scope is checked, and I'm going to click OK. Alright, so you see our scope here, and you see our start IP range and where it ends. Click Next now. Alright, so I'm not going to be using the DHCP version 6 stateless mode, so we're going to disable that and click Next. Alright, so we have a window here that gives us authorized DHCP server, and you're going to use current credentials. Great, and we're going to click Next. Great. So we have a confirmation screen here where we can see all the options that we have chosen. So we can click Install. So our DHCP server is installing. Right, so you see here the installation succeeded, so we're going to click Close, and we're going to restart our server. Restart. Great, so now that our server has restarted, we are going to go back into the DHCP configuration. Alright, so you can click on Server Manager. Alright, and we're going to expand roles. And we're going to expand DHCP Server. You see here the DHCP server I had created. It's going to expand that. And then the IPv4 selection. And you see here we have scope. Alright, so if we click here, see we have address pool, address leases. Now in the address pool you can see where our IP starts and where IP ends. DHCP also gives us the ability to exclude IP addresses. So if you right click on address pool and we click new exclusion range, let's start from 192.168.0.2 and I'm going to end at, let's say, 10 and click add. Click close. So you can see here the little X symbol here, this is excluded. See, IP address is excluded from distribution. Great. So if you go to address leases, here you will see the computers that are leasing IP addresses from the DHCP server. So currently we don't have any. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to log in to another computer that's on the same domain, and I'm going to allow it to receive the DHCP IP address from the server. Okay, well, I have logged into my Windows Vista computer and I'm going to check to see if the DHCP server is giving this machine an IP address. Before we run our command in command prompt, make sure and check your adapter settings to make sure that your adapter doesn't have a static IP address. As you can see here, I have all mine on automatic, even in the DNS server. Once that's done, I click OK, click close, you check that, close this off here, and then we could go to command prompt. Right click and run as administrator. And you want to type in ipconfig. As you can see, I have your IP address here for our computer. If you go back to our Windows server and you administrative tools and you go to DHCP, then expand this server here, expand IPv4, expand scope, and go to address leases. As you can see here, Windows Vista is assigned the IP here. So the computer is getting a IP from the server. Now if you're not getting the addresses being leased to the computers, go back to your machines and then you can try running a command. You can try ipconfig /release. When you send that command through, it's going to release the IP it has currently, and after you release it, you type another command, ipconfig /renew, and then it should automatically pull the new IP address from the DHCP server. Yeah, so, and if you're not getting through with that as well, you can also check your firewall settings to make sure that it's not being blocked. So you can go through here and you could go through the process of evaluating if the firewall is blocking your connection to the server or not. So once you go through that and you figure out which options work for you, you'll be able to see your computer getting leases from the DHCP server. Now if you go back to our server and we go to our scope and we right click and we go to properties, we could see here we could set a lease duration here for our DHCP clients. So you have days, hours, minutes. So when this time expires, the IP address will be renewed for those clients. Now remember, during the installation of the DHCP server, we set a start IP address and an end IP address. Yeah, well, if you click on the address pool, you can see where it starts and where it stops. And also we made an exclusion, and you can see the exclusion here, where it starts and where it ends. Yeah, so also want to mention like reservations. You see I have a reservation here for a server. That's useful if you don't want that, if you want that server to retain the IP address all the time. From the DHCP server, you can set a reservation easily by right clicking on the reservation folder, clicking on new reservation, and type, let's fill out this information here. If you have a server, I say server 2, you put in the IP that you want the server to maintain, and you have to get the MAC address for that server. So let's say if it was this server here, I'll go to start, I'll go on command prompt, and I type in get MAC. Right, so I'd copy this MAC address here, this physical address. Alright, I just taken this MAC address ID here, copy it, and I'm pasting it here. So you see a MAC address here for this machine, and here's part of the description. You put IP for server 2, and you click add. When you click add, it'll come up here under the list here. Yeah, so that's it for reservations. And with that, that's the end of this video.